Good evening and welcome back to the Diz Dad's Playhouse. I'm your host, Aaron Rittmaster, and joining me tonight are my trusty co-hosts, Tim Hicks
Hey, howdy, hey.
and Willie Crocker.
Hey, welcome back.
We hope you're enjoying the new format. We're going to get rolling in just a moment with our new opening segment, the Diz Dad's Playhouse Countdown. All right, so gentlemen, we're going to put our 10 minutes up on the board. There it is.
There it is.
And this topic was brought to us by who got us rolling on this one? Is this Tim's?
Willie got this one.
All right. So Willie, you got us started, so you're going to go first. So let's get that countdown rolling and take it away, Willie.
Top 5 of what?
Top 5 snacks at Disney Springs.
Hey, so let's go with my 5, starting from number 5. This is a simple, easy one I like to pick up when I'm walking through Disney Springs. It's a churro cart, but it's a thin mint churro, which is basically reminds me of a nice cookie. It goes well with a Truly or some other nice cold beverage as you're walking around. It's just something that is really fun and easy to carry. It's also something you can bring home really easy. Unlike my number 4, which is the Dole Whips. They don't travel well.
No.
Wait, Willie, where do you find these swirls?
Yeah, where do you find those?
Where's swirls?
The Dole Whip swirls are over by the margarita stand.
Okay.
What?
Near the I think it's the big Disney store. It's right out. It's out in a big kiosk. It's really not that hard to find, but you will be able to see it when we're there in January. I promise we'll go.
Okay.
My number 3 is from Daily Poutine, and I only have the Canadian version. That's who makes poutine. I don't want the Italian version or any of the stuff with kimchi and things like that in it. So my number 2 is from Chef Art Smith's. It's the hummingbird cake, which is absolutely amazing. It's pineapple and banana cake with a cream cheese frosting. It's very large. It's shareable, but I don't like to share. And my number 1 is the Everglades Fruity Pebbles donut. It's literally a heart attack diabetes in one donut. Absolutely amazing, but very, very sweet.
All right. Well, those are interesting suggestions, Willie, but I'm going to have to disagree with you on, several of them. So let's go to my 5. The list is kind of long because some of those took up 2 lines. That's what happens. So we're going to start at the bottom of my list. Number 5 is the macarons at Amorette's. What I like about the macarons is that you get a selection. You get 5 of them that come. You get one of each of the flavors. It's a great way to kind of sample several different things, and you get to enjoy them all. And it kind of, you'll notice that there's a bit of a theme here in my list because we go from 5 Amorette's macarons to the Aviator's Flight, which is a Scotch flight that you can pick up at Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. It's a good quality, flight. You got good options in it. And, hey, that's my favorite kind of snack when I'm in Disney Springs.
Anybody knows Aaron knows that.
Number 3 is, the bacon, the clothesline bacon at the Edison. The Edison, frankly, is one of my favorite places to be in Disney Springs anyway. Great food, good drinks, good entertainment. It's just a fun place to be. And the bacon on a wire is just plain tasty and fun to share.
It's also really nice because you can order it at the bar. You don't have to have reservations.
Exactly.
That's the point I was going to make too, is like, you don't have to be, in a sit down table style kind of thing. You can get it at the bar.
Yeah, and that's why all these things, I consider them snacks because they're things that you could get without having to sit down for a full meal or without having to have a reservation for the most part. The next one is maybe borderline because I don't know for sure. I think you can get this from Arts even if you don't have a reservation. I know that they serve it kind of when you're at the counter there. But number 2 is the Southern Shine Flight. And the reason that this one ranks higher than the Aviator's Flight, even though I actually prefer Scotch to moonshine, is that it's fun. Like, it's more fun with the Southern Shine because there are more options to choose from than there are slots in the flight that you get, right? So, and let's be blunt, none of us really know enough about moonshine to know which one's going to be that much better than the others.
So that was when we had it together. We were like,
there's sort of this yeah, there's a bit of Russian roulette in it, right? It's like, who's going to get the one that tastes like gasoline? Because there's always one. It's just awful, but it's a lot of fun, and some of them are pretty darn good.
Where you get that?
At Art Smith's Homecoming.
They also have it with the details.
I thought I'd mentioned that. And then number 1, I'm headed back over to Salt and Straw. In particular for their sea salt and caramel ice cream. It's kind of their signature flavor, and there's a reason for it. It's just so good. And it's so good because it is sort of a best of. It's a greatest hit. It's excellent quality ice cream. It's really great caramel, and it's just the right amount of sea salt. Like, it's not overwhelming. It doesn't ruin the sweetness, but it does temper the sweetness of the caramel, and it's perfect.
Enhances it. Yeah.
All right, Tim, take us on home.
All right. Well, my number 5 was Salt and Straw because although what you said was really delicious, there are more amazing flavors there. I would just tell you there, and you can find this online, this information online too. There is an olive oil flavored ice cream that I've tried, and it really is not as disgusting as it sounds. It's all right. But pretty much any flavor ice cream you get at Salt and Straw is good. My number 4 is Sprinkles Cupcakes. The only place I've ever seen that has a cupcake ATM. You can get cupcakes and an ATM machine. But my very favorite is the dark chocolate because I'm a dark chocolate guy. I love dark chocolate, and those cupcakes are to die for. Coming at number 3, Gideon's Bakehouse. Specifically, if you go there, there's a certain time. I think it's, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like 2 to 3 in the afternoon, and there's evening hours too that you can get a warm cookie, like just been out the oven, get a warm cookie with some ice cream. Oh my goodness, that's good stuff. Oh, coming in at number 2, Sunset.
On mile marker 0.
Mile marker 0. And you would get that at Amaret's Patisserie. And that is key lime tart. And it is so good. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of tart that are just amazing and delicious. And the last thing I would say, my top pick is the ganachery. I've been there, watched them make chocolate. It's amazing to watch them make it. And I have not tried any chocolate there that I would not recommend. I mean, it's all delicious. And if you're a chocolate person, and I am, go to the ganachery and check that out.
Sounds amazing.
Now, my honorable mention is the Daily Poutine. Mm-hmm. It's okay. It's not the best poutine I've ever had, but it's okay. It's good for what it is, right?
You're not in Canada, that's why.
Right. There you go.
Well, I thought it was interesting that if you go through each of our lists, you do detect that there are certain sort of commonalities within the list that reflect individual preferences, right? I mean, if you look at Tim's, there's a definite like tilt towards sweetness. His snacks tend to be dessert snacks. I think if you look at Willie's, you get, a sort of a balance. We got some sweet, some savory, a little bit of each, maybe a little bit more of the kiosk locations than
it's also a little bit more
locations.
kiddish.
Huh?
A little kiddish. Like I'm a kid. I
Right.
mean,
Probably true. Probably
Dole
true.
Whip,
Mr.
churro.
Cheeky Nuggy.
Yeah, Everglazed, Fruity Pebbles. I mean, there's three kids things that kids would love that I love.
I'm
Yeah.
not the
And,
biggest fan of
I
Fruity
guess
Pebbles.
on mine, I was not impressed with Daily Poutine, and maybe I tried the wrong one, but, and Willie did mention that some of them aren't as good, but Tim's not a fan of Daily Poutine anyway, so maybe not. I will say one that I thought would be on my list, but I had to drop because it's no longer on the menu, and I'm very sad about that. Is apparently the uh, the smoked bourbon bacon chocolate milkshake at Deluxe Burger is no longer there.
No longer
It's
there.
at least no longer showing up on the menu.
I had an honorable mention of the rolls served at the Boathouse.
Those are good.
Free. Yeah.
Those are good.
They don't really count as a snack though,
you can
because you have to
Right.
get them as part of your
Right.
meal.
Yeah. AKA.
Time's up.
Yeah.
All right, so time is up. Where'd our buzzer go? There it is.
There it is.
All right, so let's move to our main segment. And as we go to our main segment this week, we wanted to talk about a resort because we haven't done that in a while. And so, with our remaining time, we thought we would stay in the Disney Springs area and talk a bit about the Port Orleans resorts that are right there next to Disney Springs. Port Orleans Riverside, Port Orleans French Quarter, both moderate resorts, really formerly the same complex and now two sort of separate complexes, but still very similar in a lot of ways. And let's see, why don't we have Tim? Why don't you get us going and maybe talk a little bit about things that you like about Port Orleans?
Oh, I'd love to. Port Orleans is, for a moderate, it is a beautiful property. If you're on the Riverside part of it, you're staying in these these big southern mansion looking things, and on the French Quarter side, it's very New Orleans. It is so New Orleans. It really is. My wife and I, rest her soul, honeymooned at Port Orleans Riverside, and that was an amazing experience. It really was, even though, it doesn't matter that our room faced the parking lot. That was not what we were there for. We were totally in commando. Get your minds out of the gutter. We were in total commando mode. I mean, because we both, at that point in time in 2007, we were not the Disney aficionados that we are today. So, we were like, we would go dawn to dusk, and later, just doing everything we could, everywhere we could. So the time we spent there in the hotel room or the resort was not that much, but there was so much to offer there. Oh my goodness. There was a great pool. There was fishing, and over in the French Quarter side, you get those wonderful beignets. Oh my goodness. Those are so good.
All right. I want to use something you mentioned as a jumping off point for a little tip for our listeners, because you mentioned that, the room did have the great view because you looked out on the parking lot. So, just a couple of tips. Number one, I generally recommend that you choose any view other than the resort view.
Why? Yeah, but we were staying there for 8 days, so it was cheaper.
Right. It is cheaper. It's the cheapest one, but the reason it is because it does seem that something about the way the rooms are positioned, as cars pull into the parking lot, you get headlights in the room, and it's not a big deal for most folks. But if you have younger kids and maybe you have a little one that's got to get to bed early, that can be a hassle. So the way to protect against that was choose any other view, and you'll be protected from it.
Yep.
All right, and that's true both French Quarter and Riverside for that matter, although more at Riverside because of the way that parking lots are in proximity to the buildings.
The best thing about staying at Port Orleans is I think they're the only resort, aren't they, that has a boat that goes straight over to Disney Springs, or you can actually walk to Disney Springs from there. And that is a huge plus. You
can't walk.
Can you not?
No walking.
I was thinking there was a way to do it. Okay.
The only place you can walk to it is from Saratoga Springs. You got to go farther down the road.
Oh, okay. I was thinking there was. We didn't try it. We took the boat.
No.
But Disney Springs has so much to offer now that it didn't in 2007. That it's
Oh,
a
sure.
really, really great place to. 2007. It was still Disney Springs was still Pleasure Island. So,
Right.
um, lots of changes, but it's a great place to go and find amazing food, amazing shopping, amazing stuff. It's just really fun. So,
Yeah. For a moderate resort, I think it offers probably better quality and variety of food than most of the moderates.
yes,
Um, and so I think it gets big points for that.
and
You're still
entertainment.
talking about rooms that are about 314 square feet, so they're bigger than substantially bigger than a value resort, but still a good bit, at least 10% smaller than you'd find in a deluxe resort somewhere. Um, you do get fifth sleepers.
I was going to say about 40% of the rooms now have fifth sleepers,
Yep.
which is a huge add-on for families of 5 or families that don't want to share when the kids don't want to share beds.
Right.
Yes.
Although, don't overestimate the
The
ability
size.
of that fifth sleeper. If you got a kid older than 8 or more than about 120 pounds, probably not a good choice.
Not as comfortable as needed.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Talk about those beignets. Oh man, I've been to New Orleans and I've had beignets, and the beignets you can get at the French Quarter in Port Orleans are on par. Man, they are really yummy.
They are, and I love that they make them throughout the day, so you don't have to get them for breakfast. You can get them whenever, and they're constantly making them fresh. So that's a huge plus. And if you didn't know this, you can order gluten-free beignets from them at the window, and they will make them fresh to order.
That's a recent addition. I mean, in the last few years, it wasn't
It's
available
fairly
in
recent,
2007, but yeah,
but for gluten-free, for folks who are with celiac who have to be gluten-free, you don't find those many places. So Willie, what's
One thing you were talking about was entertainment.
yeah,
And I love when you can go see Yeehaw Bob at the River Roost. He is a constant piano playing, just literally entertaining from the minute he
phenomenon.
sits down to when he gets up. I mean, it's just busy, busy, busy as can be. He plays for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's just he's pure entertainment. Um, you want to make sure you get there early because that River Roost is not very large and it will fill up very, very fast. They do make
yeah.
some very good drinks in there also.
That's true too.
Well, and so there's another thing I like about the Port Orleans resorts is I'm pretty sure that they have at both Riverside and at French Quarter, at the bar in the resort or in the in the main building. They've got some interesting beers. They carry stuff from Abita, which is an actual New Orleans or Louisiana brewery, and I like that they give it that authentic flavor, literally.
I mean, I've been at that bar many a times and it's absolutely a lot of fun. They do have, I was trying to remember, they have a couple specialty drinks that I can't remember the name of right now.
Yeah, there are a couple of specialty drinks that are good too, in both resorts.
It's been a while for me, but yeah, I remember they were good.
So let's talk about some of the nitty gritty of the Port Orleans resorts. So one of the things about them is it's a bit of a strength and a weakness. Is that right now they're probably the least expensive moderate that you'll find, and there's a reason for that. It's an relatively inexpensive moderate because it's all bus transportation, so they don't have the benefit of the Skyliner. So it is going to be a bit of a ride. And
you get the boat to Disney Springs. That's it.
Right. And that can also inform your choice in some ways between Riverside and French Quarter, because it kind of your preference for how you prefer to deal with the bus system, could factor in here. French Quarter is a much smaller resort, and it's got like a third as many rooms, maybe less. So it's got one bus stop at the front of the resort. Riverside instead has, what is it, 4 around the perimeter plus the main stop in front.
Yes.
It's either
So it's
3 or
5
4
total.
So it goes over to Alligator Bayou, and then it goes over to the backside of the mansions, and I think it goes over by the Royal Guest Rooms. I mean, it does a lot of stops.
Still nothing like Saratoga, but yeah.
No.
Right.
But
for a moderate.
so it's a more sprawling resort, and it's going to make more stops. Now, there are benefits on both sides, because more stops like that means that generally you're going to find a stop closer to your room. So you can, once you kind of get your feel for where you're located within the resort relative to the bus stops, you can find the stop closest to you, and it may not be as far. The downside is having to sit through the stops one direction or the other, right? You're either going to sit through them on your way out or on your way back.
There's a lot of resorts like that.
That's right. French Quarter, on the other hand, is one stop. So you got to get yourself out to the front of the resort, but it's only one stop.
But are they sharing buses right now?
So the way they usually do that, I asked about that last time I was there. And at peak times, in the morning especially, and usually in the evening as well, but especially in the morning, they have their own buses. Starting around 10 o'clock or so, they'll just add the stop in front of French Quarter as another stop. And so it's the same bus picking up on both of them for the middle part of the day. And they just do that. Sense. Yeah, because French Quarter is not going to fill a bus in the middle of the day. It's just too small a resort.
Right. Especially at 10 or 11 o'clock. I mean, at 7:30, it'll fill a bus with no problem going to Magic Kingdom.
But 2 in the afternoon, no way.
Exactly. The pools, I think, are really nice for moderate resort pools. But look, moderate resort pools are a tough game because Disney's really upped it, right? I mean, Caribbean Beach and Coronado Springs have really well-themed pools. And so it's a little hard to compete with that. I don't know that French Quarter, the Dragon Pool, it's fun for littler kids, I think, but there's not quite as much there to keep a kid entertained. On the other hand, the Old Man River Pool at
Old Man Island's cool.
Yeah, Old Man Island at Riverside is
that's a nice pool.
It's a great area because they have that bar, the Muddy River bar you can walk up to. They have the hot tub. They have the game room. They have entertainment at the pool too.
Right, and it really is kind of a whole complex. The pool itself is designed a little different. It's not a big hole in the ground. It's got some sort of activity center things that are interspersed around it. So, it probably competes with the other pools at least reasonably. And one of the nice things is that you've got a number of what they call quiet pools, which really just means that Disney doesn't do entertainment there.
True enough.
They're also smaller. I mean, they're not like you could do laps in them or anything like that.
No. But the point is that they're smaller pools that if your kids, if you've got younger kids and, you don't want to be in the center of the action where there might be splashing around or whatever, and you don't want them around bigger kids, you can find nearby a smaller pool where that's not going to be an issue.
Or if you just want to socialize with people that you've met or other people that are there, and that's a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you just want to relax in the sun.
Yeah.
There are plenty of loungers around and you can do that. We mentioned a little bit about the entertainment that's there at the resorts. You've got River Roost Lounge at Riverside. Scat Cat Club at French Quarter seems like it's been a little slower to get its entertainment back. And I do hope it comes back because they had really fun, jazz musicians who were there like 3 nights a week. And I hope that they bring it back at some point. That's been sort of a long time coming back, and I haven't seen anything.
That's basically been a COVID close down that hasn't come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't forget there's the Movies Under the Stars.
That's right. And then they have and French Quarter in particular has a nice space for that.
Mm-hmm. They only do it a few nights a week, but it's still. I don't remember the exact dates. It's like hit or miss, but I think it's always on the weekends. But then during the week, it's not every night.
Right.
But it's a
And
nice
it
little area.
changes depending on how busy the resort is.
Right.
So, but they do
Riverside
publish a weekly activities calendar. So as soon as you check in, you can grab a copy of the calendar and you know what's going on. The restaurants, I think, at both resorts are better than what you get from most moderate resorts. I like the food there better than anything except the stuff at Coronado that doesn't really belong at Coronado.
I was going to say, what's on
right?
top of the right? You can't compare Toledo, and that's a different.
It's not fair.
Toledo is
fair. But when you're talking about the quick service stuff, I think quality wise, it's some of the best quick service at any moderate at Walt Disney World.
I agree, big time.
It's all right. Yeah, it's definitely better than you're going to get at the value resorts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and it's more
authentic.
Yeah, there we go. It's more themed to the resort.
There you go. Yes, well said.
Design wise, at Riverside, you get the Alligator Bayou section, which is the section that's closer to the main building. But the design sort of conceit of Riverside is that at the main building, you're sort of out in the sticks, right? You're far from town. And as you walk towards town, you get into the, nicer and nicer parts of town with the more and more elaborate, what they call the mansions.
Yeah.
And at Riverside, what they've done more recently is sort of at what would have been the farthest edge of the mansions, and at one time were probably the least popular buildings. They have done special theming for those. So have either of you stayed in one of those royal guest rooms?
I have.
All right. So tell us about your royal guest room experience, Willie.
So our royal guest room experience, we'd stayed one night before we got on a Disney cruise. We did the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. And then when we came back, I didn't tell the kids beforehand, there are light up characters where you can push buttons and fireworks go off all over the characters. And I think my youngest at the time, he probably hit the button 50 times. He just got the coolest thing in the world, because you're at Disney World and all of a sudden you're pushing a button, there's fireworks going off above your bed. And,
right.
It's just a simple little thing, but they really theme the room well. If you go into the bathroom, the sink has like the Aladdin lamp as the where the water comes out, and just small things like that where you're just like, this is really cool.
Absolutely.
You got
they are really close to Old Man Island. No, I mean to the main building. If you don't need to get to Old Man Island or whatever it's called, yeah.
There's a welcome letter that is laminated to the table from the princess who is hosting you, and there are family pictures of the princess on the walls. I mean, they really do play up the conceit of you're there as a guest of the princess. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a lot of fun. I love those headboards. They were sort of the prototypes for the ones that they're doing at Disneyland Hotel.
Correct.
So they're very similar to those. But you do pay an upcharge for the royal guest rooms. One of the things to watch for is a lot of times those rooms will be available when there's a sale. And so it's a nice opportunity. Perhaps you're booked at a value resort and a discount comes out. You may not even be able to apply the discounted value just because they're booked up. But, go ahead and take advantage of the upgrade and you can get the royal guest room experience. But with the discount applied, it comes in at a much more friendly price point.
It's definitely comparable.
And the other nice thing is you get the slide at the pool. You get the restaurants, not just the cafeteria style food. Most people don't realize how close Port Orleans Riverside is to the Magic Kingdom also. It's literally
I've looked at the bus times and it's remarkably centrally located. I want to say that the average bus from from Riverside to all 4 parks, it was like 20 minutes per park, like whichever park you went to.
I mean, Magic Kingdom's really not that far. It depends on if you hit the light or not. Near Wilderness Lodge.
Well, that's true.
But like Animal Kingdom's the hardest one to get to, and that's just because they have to zigzag over.
Right, and even that one, I think it's 24 minutes.
Right,
and the thing is that if you look at those times, like you spend less time on the bus to go to Magic Kingdom from Port Orleans than you do to get to Magic Kingdom from Beach Club if you end up having to take a bus.
True.
Or Wilderness Lodge.
True. Oh my God!
Well, yeah. Sometimes Wilderness Lodge when you have to take when the boats are down and you have to take the bus.
Or the campground.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, the campground. Forget about it.
I mean, it's a fun little boat, but it's slow as slow can be. I mean, it's nice and convenient, but it's not perfect.
So if somebody was saying, "Hey, who would you recommend would to stay at Port Orleans? Like what would be the ideal candidate for a stay at a Port Orleans resort?"
Family of 5, kids under at least 1 or 2 kids under like 8, just because you want to take advantage of the 5-person room. Nice pool, nice room, easy place to walk around. They also, what we forgot to talk about was they have horse-drawn carriages and Surrey bikes you can rent.
Yep.
And that gives you some other activities to do with the kids to wear them out if they're not going to the parks that day.
Right.
True. It's also, like you said, there's five pools to choose from. So, that makes it, if one kid wants to go to the main pool and the dad takes them and the mom wants to take the other 2 to the other pool, you can split up pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true. Tim, do you have a different sort of ideal guest that might enjoy Port Orleans?
Well, I've got just kind of piggyback off of what Willie was saying. If you like to do other things outside of the theme parks, and a lot of people do, it's okay to stay there and not do theme parks. The ability to fish, if you're a fisherman, you can do that, and that's fun. But to me, the most benefit you would get there is the climate control within the room, because if you're staying in a value resort, you can go to bed and expect your bed to feel wet, because that's what you're getting is a window unit that doesn't really take the humidity out. And I did not have that problem at all at Port Orleans. So that's one thing that I would say is a differentiator.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time, but I want to add, in addition to those family groups, I think that a honeymooner on a budget can do a lot worse than French Quarter. French Quarter at night, especially once the little ones are off to sleep, French Quarter at night, I think is frankly romantic to walk around in. It's got that French Quarter design, the cobblestone streets. You can do the carriage ride. It's got a really nice atmosphere, and you can do it at a fraction of the cost of a deluxe. So if that's going to be too expensive, you can still enjoy a honeymoon experience, at French Quarter.
Well, I was going to say, to add on to that, French Quarter or Port Orleans Riverside, you can get longer vacation.
Yes.
Right.
Because you can afford it.
Right. All right. Well, you've heard some of our opinions of Port Orleans Resort. Today we talked about our top 5 snacks at Disney Springs. We'd love to hear from you, hear what your opinions are of the best snacks in Disney Springs, the highlights or lowlights of the Port Orleans resorts. You can get in touch with us. You can email me at aaron@mousemastertravel.com. If you'd like to reach out to Tim and, suggest some other resorts he can experience, you can email him at
tim.hicks, HICKS, at fantasticmemoriestravel.com.
And if you want to suggest to Willie that perhaps he'd like to eat a little bit more like an adult, you can email him at
Willie, Willie, at wickedmousetravel.com.
All right. Until next time, I've been your host, Aaron Ripmaster. Thanks for joining us in the Diz Dad's Playhouse. We'll see you real soon.